Sometimes it's just kind of cool.
What in the
What the
see? All right, everybody, what is up? Welcome to my channel. With me is a good friend of mine that I've known for a while. Started out as a fan of Stones Live Poker, then later became a commentator and a good friend of mine. Welcome to the show, Masta C. I used to call you MastaC.
Yeah, MastaC, MyStack, pretty much anything you think of. What's going on? It's good to be here.
You and I recently got back in contact because we hadn't talked for a long time.
Right.
And I'm kind of glad that we got in contact. I went through,
Hell?
I went through hell, but it wasn't like I was mad at you or anything. I was just like overwhelmed with everything. And now the case has pretty much been dismissed. Postle's still being sued in Nevada, so there's still some hope there. But I think overall, like, there has been justice served in the case. If you think about, like, the poker community has like found out the truth, and we're holding Mike accountable. But let's get to you.
Okay.
So let's start off. Give me some background as to how you started getting involved in Stones and doing commentary.
Yeah, so basically, I've played poker like ever since a little kid. My brother and I grew up playing like 5-card draw against each other. And then
hella D-Gen.
yeah. Basically we'd play for marbles, and like where we grew up, marbles were currency. So we would just play for marbles. But then, growing up, like we'd start watching like Live at the Bike and that kind of stuff. So when I wasn't playing, I enjoyed watching some kind of live streams. And one of the things that like got me over to like Stones was because I'd be like watching you and Jake, and you guys were live with the chat. And so I would just be trying to type in shit to like make you guys laugh. And you guys would, be kind of like joking back with me. So that got me over just to watching Stones, and it was just, kind of a fun show. And I'm from North Bay area. So for me, it was a closer game. It was more likely that I was going to see people in my player pool playing on those streams I could maybe take notes on. And also it's a closer tool for me to then play on stream, as I was working on my game.
So I want to interrupt you there where you say played on stream, because you used to play in my game in Veronica and Friends, and you were a legend in the game. And ladies and gentlemen, when I say legend, nobody brought it more than Masta C.
That's fucking brutal. You had an 8, and I thought the nuts. That's close.
That's what my 25.
You came with bottles of champagne for every single, not just a bottle of champagne. He would bring high-end champagne, and every single one of us got our own bottle. You had the best Christmas sweater.
Yes, and hat.
And like, you brought it. Like, you always came to play because Veronica and Friends was a fun game, and you were one of the funnest people I had in there.
It was just always, it was a great time because it's just, you get shit-faced, and like the biggest factor is like, am I going to be sober enough to even like drive down the street by the end of it, or to like the hotel, or is it just it's Uber every night to the hotel?
No, it was Uber. We all basically had to Uber after my game, and I would make sure people got an Uber. I'd get them an Uber or whatever, but we were all either going to some dive bar after or bowling or something, and you, Masta C, were in charge of the party. Like, you made sure we all had fun. So you were like a legend in Veronica and Friends. And then you started doing more commentary. You moved away from playing in my game. You did a lot of commentary in my game.
Right. Yeah. So, like I said, as I was playing on stream, I was continuing to work on my game, get better. And I got to a point where I felt like the next logical step was to then do some commentary, because a lot of times when you're discussing a hand, you're kind of discussing the hand like within just its own boundaries. But when you're commentating, you kind of start talking about the hand, but then it like spirals off a little bit into a little bit more theoretical. Like, you have to kind of like go, okay, well, what if like this was changed? What if that was changed? So I thought that would be beneficial to my game, to just have to improve my overall thought process in kind of working through it.
Yeah, Bart Hansen used to tell me that doing commentary was one of the best things you could do for your game, although it didn't help me. But he was saying that, like,
That's bullshit. I know it helped you.
he was saying that basically you get to watch like 10x the amount of hands as you normally would.
Right.
And you get to like watch people's, reaction to hands, and like you get to pick up on patterns, and you just get this insider view if you're, if you're processing everything that you're watching. But of course, the booth at Stones also had wine.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I had to live up to your legend of just getting hammered before the show and then just like ride it out.
I actually did. It was like, I think the legend was bigger than what was the reality. I am such a lightweight. I never like walked into the booth hammered. Like I just couldn't. I wouldn't make it. But I mean, like there were a few times wine was sent our way and I got toasted. But I'm a 2-glass lightweight, which I end up Ubering everywhere because I won't drive even if I have a glass of wine. So sorry, I'm gonna edit this out because things are falling apart over here.
Just keep it in. It's weird.
I wanted to ask you, one of the things that caught me in the live streams was your reaction to Mike Postle.
Don't tell me he's just gonna call.
What in the? He
What
just
the fuck?
see.
And especially you and Casey, that one episode that I just did my last video on, you and Casey's response was very organic. And people used to get on the commentary team and I'm like, there's no way anyone was involved. Look at some of these reactions. And you and Casey, I feel like we're the most cognizant of poker and of the play that was going on. And your reactions were like very organic and truly what most of us were thinking. Like, that play didn't make sense.
Yeah.
What's going on? I'm just wondering, take me back when you first started noticing Mike do odd things, and like, what were you thinking? What were you doing? Did you talk to Casey about it after, or what's going on?
Yeah, so clearly, like Mike and I, like we played on like the Veronica and Friends and stuff, and I'd seen him play, before I started commentating. He's always been kind of splashy, and and I started to see a progression of him playing like more and more hands, like right. So even if he was flashy, he wasn't like crazy out of line. He was just kind of like the guy that was probably V-pipping the most, to play in these good lineups. And then, like I said, we start seeing him, like play more and more hands. And I was kind of thinking like maybe it was just a good like adjustment to the field. Like if you think you're a better player, typically you're going to want to play more hands against like the worst players, especially the deeper you are. They're going to make more mistakes, like over the run of the hand. So as he's playing more hands, that's kind of what I'm just thinking like, oh, he's just seeing like how far he can push that boundary. But and then some weird hands like play out like that. The hand you're talking about where he rivers a full house and it's an under full house to Brian's turn full house, and then he just like check calls the river with, Brian bets 200.
Painfully check calls.
Yeah, and in what he had like 700 left or something like that. That's just a spot where you're just getting it all in, and so it's just like, why are we not getting it all in? It's not like he's like 500, 600 big blinds deep against a super top elite player, right? In those spots, maybe you can make an argument for like not wanting to reopening the bet or something like that, and then open yourself up to a guy that can make a high level play against you. And Brian's a good player, but those are like elite kind of level moves, which isn't going to happen. And when you're 100 bigs deep, you're just getting it in. Like you riveted your hand to check call. Like what? Especially when he c-bet on the flop, continue it on the turn, just to make a boat and then check call. Like
One thing I
It's
noticed with that episode, because I pulled 2 hands out of that episode from my last video, the aces where he folds aces. I think the flop was like king high, and Brian just like flopped a straight, just flopped the fucking nuts. But one thing I noticed in that episode, it seemed like there was a bit of delay when he was receiving the information. Like in Marley's hand, the very last time I saw, very last time I did commentary, I feel like he was getting the information fairly early in the hand. But like in the ace's hand, when he, I think, leads the flop, you can tell, or leads, I think he led the flop or the turn. I'll put the hand back on. I'll edit the hand into this video.
And look at this. We have a couple people calling the $10, and Mike with aces raising to 60. Brian with queen jack of hearts right behind him calls. And this should bring in at least C-Mill with the pocket eights. And Harlan with the old strong queen 9 offsuit.
Yeah, Brian's going to be in there with the queen jack as well.
And Porter's going to come along closing the action with the 8-6 of clubs. I'm okay with...
Mike P's just like, somebody three bet, somebody.
And I'm kind of liking Porter's hand right now in this situation.
Yeah. Interesting. 7 for Porter would give him a straight, as well as he's got the backdoor club draw.
And Brian just binks the straight.
Oh my God! Look at Brian. Wow.
I'm gonna change
the nuts
my
here.
previous statement. I like Brian's hand a lot right now.
Yeah, flopping the whole world. And you know, against when you've got aces, and you just hate going 5-way to the flop because it really does lower your equity so significantly. And now this board comes out super coordinated. Mike P does continue his bet. He bets out 180. And Brian with the nuts, does he call or does he raise here?
He leads, and then he looks down, and then he sees the cards, and then he sees he's losing. And so from me looking at it from my perspective, it looked like he didn't get the information until the turn after he bet, because he was first to act. And so once he got that information, it looked like he was like, oh shit, you know, like I'm done. And so that's when you can see his face drop. He didn't have a great poker face. Like you could see when he got the information that he was losing.
Right. So, you know, because obviously, you know, it seems to be highly, you know, like the thought process is like he had several different modes over time of getting information. I'm wondering if during that time, like he was just getting the text from, you know, like possibly JFK or something, as opposed to like eventually at some point maybe he had the actual like live stream.
I mean, look, I don't know if he was getting the text from JFK or Kenny maybe, or Taylor, because Taylor was working that night too, and Taylor seems to be working a lot of those nights. I don't know, but it would seem like JFK was really quick to say, oh no, he didn't have 8-8. He's in the chat. I highlighted it in my last video. Like, no. There was an RFID error. Like, I was thinking about, like, I made a huge fold against Bart. It was a bomb pot, but I folded my boat to him.
Right, yeah.
And for me, like, I think he raised me on the turn or the river. Fuck, it's so long ago. I can't remember. Bart made a whole video about it. But for me, like, the only thing he's raising me with is exactly what he had, like a better hand. Yeah. And it was a bomb pot.
So like
everyone has everything.
Exactly.
And so I didn't see Justin come to me after that and be like, what were you doing? What did you have? Did you have that?
Never.
He literally didn't care about anyone else's cards except for Mike's. So that's, you know, there are a few circumstantial things that people are like, oh, well, maybe Justin wasn't involved. But to me, from my perspective, there's so much circumstantial evidence of Justin inserting himself in every situation that it would seem to me that he's involved, especially when you look at the interview I did with Matt, where Justin knew all of Mike's cash outs and amounts and like, oh, he's down this much. Oh,
right.
And it's definitely unusual that Justin knew, like in that last session, I remember hearing from Justin the exact number that Mike like cashed out or how much Mike was up, and that seemed bizarre. I mean, there was no chance that Mike knew like the exact number that I cashed out or that Adam cashed out or whoever, but he knew like exact number that Mike cashed out. That, you know, that's unusual. That's weird to me. And Justin always seemed to know the like exact numbers that Mike would cash out, you know? So that's weird.
Did you ever notice that? Did you ever talk to Justin about that?
No, never. I mean, you think even on live stream, we have, you know, we try our best to get the live tracking of buy-ins, rebuys, that kind of stuff. And that's wrong. So like you have to actually be like talk to the person themselves to know exactly whether it's, you know, their win ratio, because like I said, you know, just on the live stream itself, like for instance, a lot of times, you know, like the live stream doesn't account for like a multi-way chop. It's going to take the first run. So whoever wins, you know, the first run out, the system is going to award them that whole pot. So if you're just going off of, you know, that. So but he never talked to me ever about any.
So Justin never talked to you
Never.
about Mike's? We had people that went through all of Postle's winnings and made adjustments to his pots based off of each hand won. So I mean, like we kind of know that stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm just talking about it just in the way he's getting information about, you know, whether he won or not the research done into the adjustment.
So now looking back, what are your thoughts on all of this? Because I know so many times in the booth, I was watching you, I'm like, you're a commentator. We were told that we were supposed to say negative things. I'm pretty sure you got the same talks that I did, like, hey, don't be mean to the players, you know, like we're here to promote the show. And like we had to make sense of some of the stuff we saw, and it was really hard. I saw you trying, and I put in that last video, like, he's trying to make sense of a play that doesn't make sense.
So I mean, you know, the whole time I did not think he was cheating because I had faith in the system. I had faith in Justin. So if I believe that, you know, things are on the up and up, then there has to be some kind of reason for what I'm seeing. You know, and one of the things from playing on stream and then also do commentary, you know, you're so much more aware of stuff at the table that, you know, you don't see when you're watching it through camera, whether it's, you know, the people's reaction to the cards, or it's just, you're so much more in the game. So I'm like, okay, like he must be seeing things, you know, like some of these players have fairly consistent patterns in, you know, like how they approach their nutted hands versus kind of like not nutted hands, you know. So I'm like, okay, maybe he's just really trying to be like super exploitative when he sees like, you know, someone check back in a spot where they would continue. He's just going fucking crazy because he just knows they're going to fold, you know. So I'm like trying to think of these things, and then like other like what kind of hand combinations you could think of, because again, it's like if everything's on the up and up, then there has to be some method to what is going on.
It's so weird how we would default to him having this like genius level play that no one else has ever accomplished. Like I have friends who study poker like literally 20 hours a week and who make way more mistakes than Postle made. And it used to just not make sense to me. Just like when I heard him talk, the way he spoke about hands didn't match what it looked like was genius play. And so I don't know if you ever spoke with him or.
Yeah, I tried to get him into the booth, you know, several times, you know, just because I was like, you know, I'm tired of this guy. Like whenever you would, but when I would talk to him, try to like get an idea about a hand or something, like what he was thinking, what he was seeing, you know, whatever. And he would be like evasive, you know, about like his thought process. I'm like, fucking quit being coy. Like, you know, if you're an actual good player, just, you know, you're not going to give away the fucking secrets of the trade. You know, if you're saying, yeah, like, I just noticed, you know, he does this and this a lot. And so I just, in those situations, just fucking bombing money. You know, but there was none of that. He was just like, well, you know, it's poker. And, you know, I I went with my gut. And I'm like, dude, just give him a fucking straight answer.
You know,
But
for a
obviously now I know
guy,
why.
yeah, for a guy who always said he was going with his gut, like he was always looking down at his
Yeah.
crotch.
No,
and I'm
no.
like, how are
Maybe
you
he was
picking up
looking at
tells?
his gut. He was
Yeah, he was
looking at his
looking
gut.
at
So
his
that's what makes sense now.
We've figured it out. We've solved for why.
This whole time I've been like going to gut instincts. I just need to look at my gut and it will tell me what to do.
That is hilarious. Have you been in contact with Casey or any other commentary since? Because it seemed like you and Casey really gelled in the booth. I loved the two of you in the booth.
Yeah, we did well in the booth. We've talked a little bit. You know, obviously she went and did the Thirst Lounge, so she was pretty busy. So we talked like, you know, a little bit, but I'm not even sure the last time I talked to her. It's been a little while, probably, you know, like a few weeks or after she was done with the Thirst Lounge. And then Scott came out here to Vegas. I hung out with him for a day, him and Danica, and then hung out with Fat Train when he was out here for a few days. So. But not a whole lot. We kind of all just went about our own ways. Yeah.
Does everyone have pretty much the same consensus about this whole thing?
Yeah, I think so. You know, and I think, you know, different people like probably took different levels of criticism, you know, and like for me, I don't care about like, you know, people like, oh, the commentators suck or whatever, you know, because that just comes to the territory. You're going to get, you know, good and bad. You know, but I think it's just funny when like, you know, people hear like a snippet and go, oh yeah, they're guilty too. And you're like, how the fuck are we guilty? Like, we're literally on camera like the whole fucking time. Like, when am I having a chance to feed all these fucking hands? You know, like,
right.
And you know, the nice thing is like anytime that would come up, like anybody that, you know, like for the most part, either like a poker authority or knowledge of the information, you know, the situation be like, guys, no, it just doesn't make sense. Not to mention, it's like, and that's this is also one of the things that makes me think that none of the back booth is involved, just because there's such a rotating group of people that it would be hard for like, you know, for it to stay quiet or like to stay like, you know, like under wraps, because every show, you know, even if you had like say like Kenny, Taylor were like, you know, fairly consistent in there would still be a ton of change out, you know. So that's what, when you think about, okay, if it's an inside person, who is a consistent person that does not have a rotating cast of like people around them. And that's going to be, you know, for me, it's like JFK, because he was always on the other side of the room from us, like by himself, always on his phone, always had his headpiece in, you know, so there was no other like eyes on him.
Do you remember his microphone?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I mean, I think that's in-house microphone, isn't it? Like, didn't some of the
I'm
other
going to edit this out. When you say that about the back tech, that makes sense. And when I made that comment, I'm not saying that I'm accusing any of them, because I don't know. I'm just saying that these are things that I've considered.
Sure.
And
you have to look at all the different ways, you know, like all the different options, all the possibility. Like, everybody should be looked at, right? Like, you know, because until everybody's been vetted, you know, everybody, you know, is suspect to some level until we can go, okay, this seems way less likely. This has a little bit more probability. It's one of the reasons why I wanted like an actual legal investigation, you know, like as good as Joey did, you know, like scouring fucking videos and, you know, breaking down the hands, like his videos, the way he, you know, strung them together to where I could just watch just the hands, just the evidence, is what turned me. Because after watching that, you know, the hands play out like that, you're like, fuck, like this, I can't deny this. Like, when you're in the booth and trying to commentate and trying to, you know, talk to the chat and, you know, like all this other stuff, trying to make it entertaining, it's like you just move on from one hand. You just talk about it and whatever, and you move on. You don't really like reflect it. So you don't even though you see a lot of these hands, you're not putting that piece together because you're not watching it in the same way that you're watching like a critical poker hand or like trying to break something down. It's just like you're trying to like just relay what happened. Like, his shirt is blue and now it's untucked. You're just stating kind of like what's going on. But I wanted someone to like subpoena bank records, like actual wire data, like.
We lost that opportunity when the case was dismissed, but Nevada, we still may have an opportunity for discovery and, phone records or whatever, if phones aren't destroyed.
Right.
Or if they used encrypted Telegram kind of messaging apps. The one thing is, though, and I say this to everyone, within 18 months of cheating, I guarantee you there was at least a couple of times where they used text, where they used something that can be tracked, servers can be scraped. So we might have our opportunity in the Nevada case.
Nice.
I'm optimistic.
Now, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
As far as the like legal investigation, was that ever really like looked into much on the like the actual like criminal side, like as far as Department of like Justice or California Gaming or whoever? So did they look at it and say, oh, there's just not enough here, or they just like whatever? So
I'll have to edit this out again because I'm not allowed to talk about it. Gotcha. But it was investigated. You've now moved to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
How are you liking Vegas?
Love it. It's definitely a place I always kind of assumed I would move to at some point. Just never really had. I don't know. I don't want to say the freedom, but like the not being tied to Northern California. So like it. Finally, everything kind of just freed up. I was in a good space to move, and so I decided to come out here. So basically, I played for like full time for a couple of years, and like that was kind of always like a dream, like to work towards, like make up your own schedule and play. But at least like in my area, my local casino was about 35 minutes away, which wasn't too bad, without traffic, and the games were good. And then the games really started drying up. So then I had to drive deeper into the bay.
And you lived near Napa, didn't you?
Santa Rosa. Napa was about, 45 minutes away or so.
Oh, okay.
So like, I'm on the Sonoma side. And so and like I'll just be driving like 2.5 hours one way to go play, play for like 8 hours and come back. And like, so basically the day would be like get up, like work out, study, eat, take off, go play, come back, go to sleep. And there's just like where it was the freedom in playing. But ultimately what it taught me was like, I want to do like whatever the hell I want to do. So if I want to wake up and play, I can go play. If I want to wake up and like, like take off and go camping for like a week or something, I want that, freedom. So I just decided to like go back to work towards creating a couple income revenue streams. I want to, make X amount of money per month, and then, it's just like maintenance from there. So I've developed a 15-year plan and working on it and moving to Vegas.
What's the monthly goal you think for people to have some freedom?
I want,
and it doesn't have to be like an amount. It can be like a percentage compared to like the median income in your area, because I think it varies everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, and just I don't know why this number, but I want like 10K a month, like after taxes, after expenditures.
After taxes? Damn, balla.
So, I want the ability to, like I said, like there's so many places in the world I haven't gone. I want to, check out like all Europe, like all of the US. Like I want to be able to take off like months at a time and just not have to worry about like, fuck, I'm on a schedule. So part of it is like I'm looking at like income streams that also don't require me being there.
Passive income, yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense to buy like a liquor store and then have to fucking man it all day. Like it defeats the purpose.
Yeah. That's a good idea. I've been thinking about doing some weekend stuff, but my actual job takes a lot of my time. And then on weekends, I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the 4 or 5 hand. Because when I initially
Okay.
texted you, you wanted to talk about the 4 or 5 hand.
Yeah.
Let's walk through that hand. So he's saying that the commentary is saying, how can this be happening? This is weird. So he's saying that you guys have noticed that this is odd.
Right.
So what was going on in your head?
So basically, we heard that big hand happen, the table's going crazy, seat on the side of the room. So we know in half an hour we're going to have some kind of show. Production went over there, checked it out. They came back, told us. And I can't remember whether they came to the door or they told us through Discord, because a lot of times like they would have show notes that they would tell you through Discord, about whatever, we're going to have a break or blah, blah, blah. So like we knew that basically, the whole thing that it was ace king versus 4-5 for, however much thousand a piece. And what I got, I didn't know they ran it twice. They just said that, Mike won for like, whatever it was. So I was just fucking fed up with like Mike's shit, basically. Like, I'm tired of this dude, like, constantly putting in fucking heaps behind in these like stupid ass spots and then getting like bailed out. Like, like his name was Mike Get There Apostle. Like he would get these ridiculous runs. So when that, hand came up, like I was just already, like annoyed, but I'm like, I don't want to be the commentator being like, fuck this guy. Like I was still trying to do the show.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, how do I even like, one, I just don't want to say anything. Like I'm tired of this, but two, like, still trying to call the show and say, like, I'm like, okay, so if I'm not going to completely shit on this situation, I'm like, what would be a beneficial for someone in maybe a similar situation? Like just thinking about your options, because I am a proponent of, even if you come away with something that's just standard fold or something's just a standard raise, think about your options. It's going to help you just down the road as you think, more deeply. So me, when I was starting to say about, if you're in like these spots, maybe money, maybe he's realizing like Naga could be weak or could be, like light, and then Moneymaker is therefore light. Maybe they're, like it's likely that they're sharing out, so your actual value of your hand is a little better. And then I just fucking gave up because I was just like, fuck this, fuck, fuck the show.
Did you talk to anyone about your thoughts on Mike or potentially cheating, or did you think he was cheating, or did you think there was something else going on?
No, I didn't think he was cheating, and so I actually think the 10-8 or the full house hand that we talked about earlier in this hand are like good examples of, I'm not sure how much time's in between, but like from kind of the beginning knew of like, like what is going on to like, I was just kind of jaded. Like I'd like given up. Like, I don't understand what he's doing. Like, I was just like, whatever, I'm done, And so I think, it kind of shows through like on this, like, on this hand in these later episodes, it's just like, oh yeah, he made this crazy move. Okay, whatever. It's just.
Did you talk to anyone about it?
No, I talked to like initially whenever like rumors, I guess it was around March, that when people were first starting to talk about like possibly, Apostles cheating or whatever, we all had a group commentator meeting with JFK, and that's when he assured us that they had someone come in, check it out, and everything was
Oh, you mean March of last year?
Mm-hmm.
That was when Casey and I went to Justin.
Right.
And I think there were other patrons who complained. And so Justin was doing his best to put out the flames.
Yeah, and the shitty thing is, like I said, I believe Justin, I believe the system, because like Justin and I had like business ethics discussions, like as I'm, this is when I was starting to like realize I wanted to, create my own income streams and how I'm going to do this. So I'm looking at like, business and just kind of like how to approach stuff. So I'm kind of talking to everybody, just like anybody, either that's in management or runs a business, owns a business, about these things, and so it's like I'm getting an idea that like we're on the same page, like, like ethically, it's like you do good things, you do what's best. And then it's like, I look back on those conversations and it was just more me fucking talking and him agreeing.
So I was not working for Stones the last, I think year and a half maybe. But I was coming in under like independent contract or whatever, just to do commentary. I only did commentary, I think 3-4 times in 2019. I'm curious. So you said JFK had a meeting with all of the commentary to address rumors of Mike Postle cheating?
Mm-hmm.
And that was in March of 2019?
About that, yeah.
So then all the commentary knew that there were these rumors.
Right. And did
he actually say Mike Postle?
Yes. Yeah, he said that, someone or a couple people had thought, Mike could be cheating, and like he could have had access to whole cards. And, he had somebody look in an outside agency, look into the system and make sure that there was no back doors into it, that it was safe and
did he
all that.
So you said he said he had someone look into it. Did he share any of that with you guys? Like, did he share any of the evidence of any sort of investigation?
No. Yeah, it's not like you said, a company, just an outside agency.
That's interesting. And so I'm assuming that was what kind of kept people from complaining about it.
Right. Yeah. And then I remember Scott, Fat Train, and I, kind of were talking about it, and just all of us were, I think, on the same page that and this was, I think, kind of still early on into it. It just seemed like it was cheating, like he wasn't cheating, because at that time it didn't seem like it was crazy, ridiculous shit going on. But it's like I say, it's like when we're commentating, it's like I swear we watch like maybe 30% of the hands. It's like we'll watch the talk about some of the hands, and we're busy bullshitting with each other for whatever we're saying, and then the chat. And so it was like when we would pay attention to a hand, it just seemed like he was either like these people were kind of playing in like a way that was deviant from how they play their strong hand, that, or like he would get like a miracle like turn a river, so I was just kind of sporadically.
I think all of us, those of us who watched Stones live and those of us who did commentary, all agree that it literally took Joey Ingram how many hours did he watch? 30 hours of Mike cheating for us to put all the parts together, because it's hard to put it all together when you're doing commentary once in a while and you're not seeing every single time. And then you're like, we all have seen people have these amazing sessions and we're like, well, this is a part of poker. Or the show can be boring, and then when big hands happen, they're celebrated. So it's not like you can look at each hand in a vacuum and say, yes, this is the spot right here where I knew. It took basically a bunch of, multiple variables to come to this conclusion. So I don't think anyone with an eye for what has happened would say that, commentators were involved or that they should have seen it. Like, it was really tough. Even when the last show, I was still not 100% certain, but I was certain that nothing was going to be done about it. And I was pretty sure he was. And I thought Justin was incompetent and wasn't going to do anything about it anyway. Right. And so I just took matters into my own hands. And I didn't think Art would listen to me. So I didn't go to Art. And I thought Justin already went to management because that was his job. He was, he was the person who was running Stones Live. Right. Anyway.
Well, and the shitty thing is, I think about, if I was in the booth, right, and saw something or had an epiphany and like this dude's cheating, who would I go to? I would go to JFK.
Right. Like we all did.
Yeah. So then you just, I don't know, you'd have to trust one that he follows it up appropriately, or it's and then what I do, he's like, oh, okay, I'll handle it. And then I'm like, okay, I trust that he's handling it. And then I don't hear anything back. What? People are always going to try to cheat, or there's going to be something going on, or someone's going to fuck up within your system. So rather than try to sweep it under the rug or deny, just be like, hey, someone found this loophole or someone did this. We fucking got rid of them. We fixed the loophole. We're working with the agencies to, better our security. And you have a chance to be a leader in the industry, regardless of what your industry is.
Right.
Instead, all you do is you take that liability and you just keep blowing it up and blowing it up, blowing it up to where the risk you're taking, say, you might lose just 5% of a yearly revenue if, the story comes out and you handle it the way I suggest. But when the story will come out down the road and now you show all the actual cover up, you lose the whole business.
Right.
And people go to jail, it's much, much worse. Don't let someone else's fuck up destroy your whole business.
I also think people would have rallied behind Stones had they just done the right thing 100%. From the beginning, and probably would have supported them as customers, and we all could have promoted them. One thing I think that has happened with Stones, from my perspective, is that they're so disillusioned or removed from what regular people think that they're unable to distinguish between reality and forcing people to sign something that says what they want to be reality. I think they thought that all of us signing this would then, so the case got dismissed. They thought that the public would then be like, oh, well, nothing happened. Right. Well, let's go back to Stones. And that didn't happen. And they were furious at my tweets, although what I've been told. And then they want us to sign these, whatever the thing I read to you. And they still think that oh, if everyone signs that, then they can't talk about it anymore. Then basically it'll mean that nothing happened. And so we're good, right? And they don't understand that accountability isn't bought. Accountability isn't forced. You can't pretend that you have done, that you weren't involved when we obviously see that you were, because Justin was your employee. Sorry.
Right. Well, yeah, and so the Stones Live brand is under your fucking shit. So it's
the booth is ripped out,
Oh, no. Yeah.
The booth is ripped out. I don't know if they got rid of everything. I'm assuming they didn't, because we still have to have discovery in the Nevada case. But the booth is ripped out. I don't know if they still have the Stones Live table. I don't know if they sold it, but it would be a shame. It would be a shame because that was like a really fun live stream. But
yeah, that's one thing that sucks about it. Like, is like our audience was never huge, but it was like a core group that we all got to. It was like hanging out. Every time we did a live stream, it was just hanging out with a bunch of friends, and some poker was going on in the background. It was fucking chaos, like, all over the place. And then, and like we were just like be bullshitting, and it was a blast, to hang out with everybody. So it just sucks that like it ruined a good stream.
yeah,
Just. But I have heard rumors that they, once all the the legal stuff finishes, they want to reboot the stream, which I've because I've had a couple people that live in the area that are possibly thinking about like maybe like trying to run it themselves, like be more hands-on with the stream kind of thing. And I'm just like, I don't think it's a good idea, like especially the way it'd be one thing if the company was like how we were saying, like taking more responsibility and being proactive, in a good way. But I think you're still going to have all the people that now have made obvious like shitty decisions down the road, not taking accountability, trying to deny anything happened, actively fighting against it, as opposed to saying like, look, these two people fucked up, we became aware of it, they're gone, they're never going to do it, we're implementing good security from now on. So like, if like I wouldn't want to be a part of that company in any fashion.
I would be surprised if anyone would play on that live stream if they rebooted it.
And if anything comes up, like, they're going to fucking hang you out to dry. So like, why even put yourself in that situation?
Yeah. I think the only way, so Live at the Bike, I think, does a good job. Live at the Bike, there were rumors going around that somebody was cheating. They literally nipped that shit in the butt. Yeah. They got professional poker players to review the footage that were a third party. They were not associated or affiliated with them. They took the player out of the game. They nipped that shit in the butt so fast. No cheating was found by a bunch of, people who reviewed it, but they still nipped that shit in the fucking butt. Live at the Bike did it better than anyone else could. And there was no cheating going on, just a few rumors. So they were very proactive. I think the one thing that Stones could do, or any up and coming live stream, is not have the tech work on the live footage. Have the live footage, whether the cards are read or not. Sorry, you got to get a good mechanism to make sure the cards are being read, but have the tech work on a delay and then have the commentary work on when it goes live. So there would be like a double delay. So have it, have it all baked in so that the tech can't touch the graphics that have already been established. And however that needs to happen, I've heard that that's a possibility. So like 15 minutes or 20 minutes after it's being recorded, then the tech gets to see it. No information can be transmitted.
I think that'd be a great way.
And no one has access to the live stream. No one. Not Justin, not Art, no one.
I think that would be a great way to do it. Because like every other situation, it's like like the Poker Go studio, they have like one guy locked in a booth. He doesn't have any phone or anything.
They have security outside of the booth.
Yep.
If you're not in the booth by a certain time, you can't get in, and they just don't they don't have anybody. They just don't do it.
But having it on a double delay, like even bypasses any possible like loophole that gets. Because anytime you have that human element, there's some way to corrupt it.
That being said, I wouldn't trust Stones because like you said, we know that if something were to happen and people got cheated, they would not be accountable, and they would mafia that whole situation.
Right. Well, especially in California, I mean, and it's probably, more wide as well, but it's like gamblers, poker players, you already don't have any recourse for for like getting your funds back, you know, anything. So it's like we're already entering into a poker game, kind of knowing if the house does something shady, we don't really have a recourse. But you just kind of, you hope that they have more incentive to do the right thing because they don't want to lose the business. Now you've already shown that you are unwilling to do the right thing as a company. You know, so like I wouldn't want to play in that room.
Yeah.
And it sucks because it was such a great room. There's so many good people that work there, and they're all fucked because of their employers, and that's so fucking shitty.
Yeah. I mean, they are ultimately the biggest victims in this.
Yeah.
And I've heard some of them are mad at me because of this, because they actually believe in the bullshit. And, you know, that's unfortunate, but
Let's say
Justin didn't do anything about it. You guys should be mad at him. And I actually have heard that Justin is still working there. He's just on unpaid leave. And I actually have heard rumors, because people text me about everything. I hear about everything. I've heard rumors that they're considering keeping Justin. And I'm like, you guys are really like out of touch with reality.
I would just say, you know, like if I'm an employee there, like I'm looking at, regardless of whether you think that there was cheating or not, you know, regardless of what story you believe in, look at how your company has handled it. They didn't come out and, you know, like they're not forthcoming with information. They're not actively working with investigators. You know, they're actively trying to swell everything. And that's huge red flags. Like, you know, you think like regardless of what line of work you're in, like at some point you're going to deal with some bullshit, you know, like whether someone complained about you or, you know, whatever. And you already know they're not going to approach your situation like fair and balanced.
Yeah.
So like if I'm an employee there, like at any time, like I can have, you know, my livelihood taken away because I can't count on them, you know, to be like good, you know, about the situation, to be fair and like give me my chance.
Right.
So,
and they vilify the whistleblower.
Right.
Well, anything else you want to tell us?
No. Glad I got there. Like when I was considering moving, I was really like I was on the fence between SAC and Vegas. You know, because I have friends in SAC and stuff. And
SAC's an amazing city.
I could do more commentary, that kind of stuff. And then it's a little cheaper out there, blah blah blah. And then obviously Vegas, you know, like Vegas has its appeals. And one of my friends independently moved to Vegas, and I'm like, well, shit, dude, if you're going out there, I'm gonna go out there too. And it was like, as I got out here, like, is when like all hell broke loose, and I was just like, fuck, like, what timing? But I'm like, man, I made the right choice to move out here rather than Sacramento. Like, I'd be fucked. And then move out there, and then like all this, you know, blows up.
Well, I'm glad that we got back in touch, and thank you so much for your time. I'm going to stop recording, but don't jump off yet, okay?
Okay.